hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back and Happy New Year! You've returned to PC Tier 3. My name is Frostbreath or Rob, whichever you prefer, and I am joined tonight once again, even in 2025. Yes, he's back, the great and mighty Epic. Good evening, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little sniffly, so don't mind the drony voice. But how are you after the lovely festive period of the year?
It's been, well, yeah, it's actually been pretty great, to be honest. Yeah, I've had a good time, and all the great times with family and stuff. But we're back, and we've arrived in 2025. The season, though, is not yet over, and therefore we've now arrived at round number 7 in China. A track favored by some, disliked by others. Some mixed feelings therefore in the back for this particular track, but it's going to be good nonetheless. We're ready and good to go. The lobby is full actually already, so that means we're gonna go in any second now. China, Epic, what can we expect here tonight?
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of opportunistic overtakes. I think that's something we all know. The hairpin towards the end of the lap, we saw, of course, in real life quite a few years ago between Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. They collided and both spun round. But we see it quite often at the hairpin moves down that long main straight and back straight it is. Also, we I think we'll be seeing some fighting through the snail section of the sort of first 2-3 corners because of the way that you can go too wide through there, but you've just got to be careful. And because if you get a good run, you can break leg and maybe do a switchback going into the second part of the first few corners, which I think is going to be quite interesting to see.
Indeed, yes. Speaking of interesting, let's have a look at the standings. It's not as interesting as we were hoping it to be. The difference right now between the championship leader and the man in second place, aka Leroy Brown, and Konrad Bohm, is 40 points. And I'm looking through the list, trying to find Konrad in the list. He isn't here.
No,
Konrad not here
he
tonight.
is. Neither is Louis Welch.
No, so that
So second and third not here tonight. So maybe an opportunistic chance for Exafox
it
to maybe
is,
take
yes,
second in
and
the
it's also,
championship.
I think, a potential championship ceiling moment for Leroy, isn't it? Because we were discussing this before the stream started, the both of us, and we were in agreement that if Leroy finished on the podium this race, the championship for Conrad would become very hard. But now that he's absent, I think it becoming hard is kind of an understatement. I think it will become near impossible by this point, because if he wins, Leroy, the gap will become 65 points with 3 races left. He's going to have to average 22 points. That means he's going to have to win every single race, with Leroy not finishing in the points whatsoever. To even stand a small chance of winning the championship, and I don't see that happen, to be fair.
Me neither, to be honest. I think Leroy Brown, he's been so consistent. And don't get me wrong, Conrad Bohm has had his moments this season. His 2 wins in Singapore and the Netherlands were dominant and very strong. But his 2 DNFs in round 3 and round 6 of last time in Hungary have really hurt him. If he didn't have that, by my account, he would have been just 24 points behind our championship leader. So he would have been a lot closer to Leroy Brown, still with a title chance. But if I'm being honest, like you said, if Leroy Brown does get a win tonight, I think very much the championship will almost be sealed. Of course, mathematically, it won't be till after Canada. But overall, I think we all know that Leroy Brown is very much on the sort of the home stretch now of his championship run, and he's very close to taking that crown.
Yes, indeed. He's been very consistent. Somebody else who's been consistent, by the way, this season is not a too unfamiliar name, Tom97. If you look at his results, he wasn't here, of course, in Hungary before the holiday break. His best result, a 4th place. His worst, a 9th position in Singapore. But all well, it's been in the points all the time when he was present. And he's now back for China. So let's see if he can keep up this consistency. So yeah, good stuff from him. Mercedes overall, very strong this season, I have to say. And yeah, Exafox is having a proper shot at second in the standings. Maybe he can pull off something miraculous for the fight in the championship. I doubt it. If you look at his results, he hasn't been there yet. 2 podiums, 2 third places in Singapore and in the Netherlands. Other than that, in the top 10, except for one occasion in Las Vegas. So yeah, we're actually on our way right now. I believe Thomas Lamminen has to restart his game. So he's going to join in a second after the qualifying has started. Of course, 18 minutes of qualifying coming up as per usual. And then the race will be happening after a restart of the lobby because, as always, the collisions are off to prevent any special slipstream and all of that stuff happening between drivers to keep things as fair as possible. So let's find out then. 19 drivers in at the moment. Thomas Lamminen will be joining in the second Aston Martin as soon as he's back in the game. You can see them coming out right there. Ghosted cars all over the place. Let's see first out on track. An RB car. Is that Maximilian Luckert? No, it's Lucas Beisner again.
Yeah. It's interesting to see what the man of Lucas Beisner has been doing this season, because he has been, by my account, almost every single race, or it is every single race, he's been one of the first drivers out. He's I think been the first on the last couple of occasions as well. Different strategies that haven't necessarily worked for him this season. He's only scored 32 points. He's had 2 DNFs this season. He's only scored points in 3 of the 4 races he has finished. He got 5th, 4th, and 5th in all of that, so pretty strong overall. But I think for Lucas Beisner, his qualifying does need to improve slightly, as he has struggled for form there, and he's really very much relied on the races to pull himself back up the order.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this man, he's very eager to go at first, and he's still desperate for that podium. Was so close last week in Hungary, but then all hell broke loose in the final few laps. When the rain, I believe, actually stopped. It was an interesting race to watch anyway, because, you know, the track layout usually doesn't allow for a lot of overtaking, but it happened anyway, especially when the rain came down and some very unusual faces came forward in the race. Louis Welch actually winning it in Hungary. Daniel Gottschalk finishing in 2nd place. The Rainmaster throughout this season, the man in the Williams, he's out on track as well. Only 2 drivers are still in. That, of course, is Matex and Lewis Walker, both for Williams and Aston Martin, respectively. But Lucas Beisner on his way right now. Epic, let's see what he can do through this lap.
Yeah, let's see. Up through the first corner. I lose count of which turn this actually is, because it's so long. And I believe it is 2 corners. Through this long left-hander, a bit of a wiggle on the rear, of course, waiting for that track evolution to hit and to get some grip on the rear. And ending off sector 1 already. And, of course, it will be purple, but it's a 23.580, so not too bad from Lucas Beisner. Now we're coming to the flat-out section. The long left, followed by then an even longer right, where you do have to brake midway through before you reach a very tight 90-degree left-hander that you've got to try and throw the car through. Watch out for the curbs on the outside, they can spin you, and through the double left-hander he goes to end off the middle sector. Now coming to the final sector, we've got another 90-degree left-hander through a little sort of more of a kink of a right-hander, then through this long spiral of a corner, very similar to Zandvoort, I must say. Then coming down the main straight, opening the rear wing with the DRS for what might be the last final proper time he'll be doing it. Now into the infamous hairpin he goes, putting the car in earlier, not focusing on the exit, not going on the curb though. Very smart there from Lucas Beisner. You can spin it. Down to the final corner he goes, over the curb, a bit of oversteer, and up to the line. It's a 1:30.044.
Not too shabby, but I noticed his car was a little bit unstable through many corners. There goes Thomas Lang, going slightly faster, 30.0, but Ivan Santamaria ups it by quite a lot. The first drive to go into the 1:29, 29.8, a hundredth of a second behind. A new name, Gabor Santos. I hope I pronounced that one correctly. He's only a hundredth of a second behind, but Lighty, the other Red Bull, goes quite a lot faster than that. 29.6. Many drivers now crossing the line. Mark Schluter slotting into P6. Lewis Jones in P8. There's Leroy Brown, the championship leader, slotting into 4th place. always a little bit slow to get going in the qualifying. So for now, P5, not too bad at all. Maximilian Lukert in the RB tonight with a 29.868, not too bad either. For now, 4th fastest. Several drivers still on their way. Maytags has started his hot lap right in the middle of a lot of cars who've just finished their hot lap. Lewis Walker is right behind, interestingly, through turns 1, 2 and 3 on the medium tires, trying to save out a set of softs for later, I guess. And not really effective if you want to save it for the race, because the lobby gets a restart and of course your tires will all be reset to 0% wear anyway. But yeah, Maytags on his way right now. The second Williams driver, his teammate Daniel Gottschalk, has slotted himself in between the two Sauber drivers of Lewis Jones and Tim Turnimo in 11th and 13th respectively. We're also looking at the McLaren drivers, only 14th and 15th at the moment. Neither of them full-time drivers, by the way. Both Louis Welch and Antoine Zalewski are missing. They've been replaced by Damien Carril and Taisto for their team tonight. So Maytags then on the back straight, DRS wide open with a lot of cars ahead of him. All of them, of course, coming back into the pit lane. A few meters back is Lewis Walker, is still on his way on the back straight right now as he goes through the hairpin. Maytags does, with only 2 more corners to go. In fact, 1 more corner, from one of the trickiest one to get right here. Not go to wide there, he doesn't, and across the line is going to be a 1 minute 30.6, only 16th fastest. But to be fair, it's been a bit of a story of his season in terms of qualifying performance. Then Lewis Walker next to cross the line as one of the RBs goes onto the grass to avoid him. There he goes, only 18, 33.0. That means a mistake has definitely been made. Then his teammate Thomas Laminen is still on his way, and then everybody except Bogdan will have set a lap time.
Lewis Walker was also on the medium, so I don't think he was going for a push.
That's
lap either.
That's also a good point.
Thomas Laminen, it's been a while since we've seen this man. Of course, we've watched him race in Hungary, but that's been it. That's all we've seen this season from the incredibly fast driver. As he now
Look at
goes
that.
on the front row, 1 minute 29.8 on the dot. Very good lap, but still over a 10th and a half away from Lighty. So how good was that lap really from Lighty? We've seen it quite a bit this season, haven't we? Lighty being incredibly fast straight off of the start of qualifying, and I think we might have just seen that once again here tonight.
Yeah, but this time he's really quite far off the rest. I mean, nobody's been able to get any close so far. Of course, Bogdan is still on his way. We're going to find out by the end of the middle sector if his lap time is going to be any competitive compared to the top drivers at the very least. We're watching him go through the middle sector right now. A 50.5. I remember Beisner's time being a 50.6 through sector 2. So right now he would be somewhere in the midfield, slightly faster than that. He could potentially still be up for a 1 minute 29, of course. We're about 8 minutes into qualifying. That means the track has already evolved a little bit. He's off sync, as we'd like to call it. Everybody else is back on their out lap for a second attempt, apart from Thomas and Maytags. Maytags still being in the pit. Here comes Bogdan Moldovan, though. What's he gonna do through the final corner? I thought I saw his battery light flashing, but no, he's gonna go through the final corner, onto the main straight, across the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 30.3. And that, for him, is unusual, because normally, even in qualifying, he's not that far back, to be fair.
Yeah, I do agree, but his last 2 races that he's done in Hungary and the Netherlands, he's had poor qualifying in that. I believe in the Netherlands, I think he qualified 15th or 16th. He qualified very far back in the Netherlands. So his qualifying form has definitely taken a hit from the start of the season. I do have to say that. It's definitely taken quite a bit of a hit. But one name that I always enjoy to see is actually somebody who's on a lap at the moment, I believe. It is Lewis Jones. Just started off his lap. It's been a while since we've seen this man. We do enjoy commentating on him. I do, especially. He's only raced twice this season, by the way. 13th and a P5 to his name so far. He's quite low in the standings, so I don't think a championship charge is on from the Kick Sauber drive. But he's 6,000ths down on his first sector, so do you think maybe the drivers have already hit their limit? Or do you think it is now just the finer bits of time they're trying to find?
I think the most time can be lost or found through this particular sector with all of these very tricky corners to get right, especially those apexes here in these corners are so with these curbs. They're like very narrow, they're pretty high to be honest. So whatever you look at that, for example, there, he was 6,000s up in the first sector. Now he's about 1.5 tenths faster than his previous lap time. That would, at the moment, bringing him up to somewhere in the top 5. So let's see what he can do. Of course, everybody else ahead and behind him is on a hot lap as well. Lewis Jones then on the back straight right now, 12 milliseconds slower than Mark Schluter. Of course, this final sector only really having 5 corners that are very important, this being one of them, the hairpin, of course, very crucial to get right. And then, of course, the final corner where going too wide will cause your lap to become invalidated indeed. For now, P12, Lewis Jones, where is he going to go? Is going to be a 29.9, going all the way up to P8. We see there, whoa, Maximilian Lucker there going over Lighty's time. Never mind, because right away, Lighty beats him with a 29.4. And Lucas Beisner, having found his stride, goes up to 3rd place. Exafox, who could potentially claim 2nd place, goes up to a 29.7. Leroy Brown, though, I believe has just finished his hot lap, sitting in 7th at the moment, but that's not unusual from him. In qualifying terms, he's not always up there, but he usually manages to do it in the race.
Yeah, very much. Also, you got to remember, Leroy Brown is one of the drivers who thrives under pressure. He's shown that many times this season.
Exactly.
And I think the one thing that he's shown this season against everybody else is that he is in race pace and racecraft, he's in another universe. The speed that we've seen from him, not so much in qualifying, but in the races, the speed we've seen from him is like no other we've seen this season. Nobody has gotten remotely close to him in race pace or in racecraft, and that's something that's very worrying to all of his competition, is that he is clearly the fastest driver and he is clearly hunting down the title, and he's probably going to find it very soon.
We just saw Matex heading right back into the pits after his hot lap, nearly plowing himself into the wall at pit entry, turning left. Do want to do that after the Christmas break. A pretty poor way to start the new year right there, but thankfully he managed to avoid it. Taisto coming back in as well has managed to improve to 10th place. His teammate is now stuck in 16th. Lewis Walker, frankly, still driving around on medium tires. I'm not sure what his plan is tonight. He might be trying a last to wherever challenge. If it stays like this, he's now on a 32.7, which is kind of the pace that the mediums have on a track like this. Very tire wear heavy, by the way, isn't it, China?
Very much, you know. We've seen the tire wears change quite a bit on this year's game, but a track that hasn't changed at all is China. And, you know, the mediums only last, I believe, is it 10 laps? 10? 11 laps?
Yeah, very short while, I'll remember that.
It's a very, very short, even for the sort of, you know, lap times we see, it's a very short time for the mediums to last for. And we see the same with the softs. The softs only last about 5-6 laps. So, you know, they last a very short amount of time compared to some tracks like Silverstone, where they can last 10, 11, 12 laps. So it's incredibly short from with most of the tires. But the only tire that can really last very long around this track is the hard tires, because they last about 16 to 18 laps. They last really long versus every other compound, which is quite strange, because you'd expect it to sort of go up by a sort of normal amount each time, each step of how hard the tires are, from softs to hards, but it doesn't. It seems to bump up quite a bit.
I still think 16 out of, what is it, 29, 28 laps is a little bit on the short side. But anyway, we've arrived in the final 4.5 minutes of this qualifying. We're watching Tom97 right now as he finds a lot of time in Sector 1, about 1.5 tenths already in the Mercedes. He's not that far of his teammate at the moment, about 0.2 of a second right there, 29.8 for Leroy, 30.0 for Tom97 at the moment. Then, of course, the crucial middle sector where he can gain or lose a load of time. Do not go too wide there. He definitely doesn't do that. So well done to him. 2.5 tenths now. Found another tenth and a bit through sector number 2. Then, of course, one of the two long right-handers on this track which is counted as 2 different corners, as does turns 1 and 2, which are both a long right-hander as well. On the back straight then for the Mercedes car, he's now bumped down to 14th place. Thomas Lang has made an absolute banger of a lap, managed to get up to 2nd place. Gaborg Santos is currently up in P4. The Red Bull team on average doing quite well, as are the RBs at the moment, 3rd and 5th right there. But we're watching right now the 2nd Mercedes man as he gets pushed down to P15 right now. Mark Schluter going up to P4, and look at that, finds a bit of time, only P12 though, and still behind his teammate, and I'm afraid that is his last run, as Lewis Walker retired from the session. He's done enough, he thinks, and that's the end of the run for him. On the mediums, last with a 32.7.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing around this track, and this is something that I think we can all agree to. The time difference on this track is one of the largest that we see every single season out of any track, even though it isn't a hugely long track, is it? You know, only about 1 minute 29 in lap time. You know, 1 minute 29, 1 minute 30. Even for its time, we're seeing the fastest time being 1 minute 29.445, and at the moment the sort of closest time to the pack, sort of that isn't too far off, is 15th. There's 1 minute 29.985. 986, sorry. And so, you know, we're seeing this over half a second gap from 1st to 15th. And it's quite a bit wider, isn't it, than usual?
It's incredible, isn't it, how we think a gap of more than half a second is considered very big for a tier like this. It just shows how close it normally is. I'm watching Boba right now. He's currently in 2nd to last place, interestingly. He's found a bit of time through Sector 2. Across the line he comes. That is going to be a 30.1 only, P16. That's... He is out of sync in terms of qualifying pace as well. He's retired straight away on track. Not sure if that is allowed, even with collisions off. But his car is going to be slow. There's going to be a yellow flag. Thomas Lang has had enough. He stays 2nd at best. Never mind, because there's Maximilian Luckert, who goes faster, but still not enough to beat Lighty. I wonder, Epic, is anybody going to be able to beat him with a 1 minute of lap time, or sorry, qualifying remaining?
Got into a wall, by the way. He just went straight into a wall.
Interesting.
I don't think anybody can. Lucas Basin now retires, so that's the other RB.
This is unusual. So many drivers retiring. Oh dear. There goes Maximilian.
I have no clue what is happening.
Why is everybody just destroying their cars on track?
I don't know.
I'm very confused now.
Yeah, me too. I think half the grid hasn't got the message of how to do qualifying.
Maybe they've forgotten. It's been 3 weeks.
Maybe they have. You know, Christmas happened. Come on. You know.
Yeah, that's a great excuse.
They need to lose their front wings. Yeah. Well, Daniel Gottschalk is the one driver who isn't slowly killing his car. See how the Williams can do. He's 17th at the moment. He's got to find quite a bit of time. You know, he's got to find at least about 0.2 seconds. So even just got 2 places. But if he could find 0.3, he could even find himself up to 12th or even 11th ahead of the championship leader. He's down though by 32 thousandths in the first sector, so a bit slower. We're seeing this from a lot of drivers though, where they're quite a bit slow in the sector 1 and they're not. They're sort of struggling to sort of equal their first laps or even their best laps at all. Matex now retires. Let's see how Daniel will do into the middle sector. Can he improve? It's only up by half a tenth, so only going to move himself up to 16th. Not exactly what Williams were looking for, especially the fact that Daniel Gottschalk has been an incredibly strong driver. He's 5th in the standings, by the way, with 37 points. This is not the race he's been looking for, but I think that's sort of what we see from Williams overall so far this week. Both of them 17th and 19th at the moment. But let's see how Daniel does, throwing the car into the hairpin. A little bit unsure. Saw a little bit of recorrection there with the steering from Daniel. Into the final corner he goes. And again, that Williams not fully sturdy. And across the line he goes. It is a bigger improvement, but still only 16th and 1,000th behind 15th place.
I just noticed his driving style, and everybody's driving style, of course, is the standard in this game. Just throw your car into the corner like an absolute madman and hope for the best. And it's suiting some and not suiting others. Lewis Jones across the line 7th, Thomas Laminen, the entire top 5 is retired until X-Fox crossed the line, who now goes into P4, which is great, of course, for his championship hopes for
somebody's had a
2nd
spin.
place.
Somebody's
Who
in the
has?
wall. Tim Tanimo in the wall, almost doing an Alex Albon from 2019.
Oof.
But in the wall he went, and that is him done. And Lighty,
Wow.
just for the sake of it, goes even faster.
This is almost 3/10 between 1st and 2nd only. There comes his teammate there, Gabor Santos. He does go, let me see on the steering wheel, I believe he stays in P8. For some reason, everybody except Lighty has struggled on this track, haven't they? Because everybody retired early. It felt like they just all given up. They've thrown in the towel because they saw Lighty going this fast. But I've never seen this many drivers retiring before the checkered flag. That's a first for me.
I've seen it a few times in lower tiers of WOR, but not usually in tier 3. I've never seen it like that. But Lighty's just doing it for the fun of it now, isn't he?
Yeah, Lewis being very surprised in the Discord. Well, I'm not surprised because he's been up there all the session. He's found some speed over Christmas. Not sure what kind of turkey he's been eating or whatever he eats during the holidays. Whatever fireworks he's been watching. But it's definitely helped him big time to get his pace up there to the top of the field because he'll be starting from pole position. His teammate, I think, will be quite disappointed with the fact that he only managed to do P8. But then again, for your first outing, not too shabby at all. We just saw the qualifying results. Right there, of course, the big gap between P1 and 2, very noticeable, as is the big gap between first and last, or second to last, because Lewis Walker's lap time on the mediums really isn't what you would call an average lap time, with merely 2 seconds of the pace, more or less, or 3 seconds almost, I believe it was. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wait now and see when the drivers retire. Let's hope they all do it quickly so we can get on our way to the race ASAP. But we're gonna have to talk a little bit about those qualifying results because, yeah, as I said, they are unusual. Many drivers retired. What happened?
I think there was kind of 2 groups in qualifying, and I think that was the group who went early, who was I think 7, 8 drivers, and the group who went at the usual time, who were the last sort of 10 drivers on the grid. And I think that was mostly it. I think we saw some people go for a very different strategy. But I think it was mostly just that.
We're being told to make way for a new lobby, which I believe is the new standard right now. I've watched the weather, by the way, for the race. It was going to be sunny, but then again, of course, with a lobby restart means a weather restart as well, as the weather is set to dynamic for the 2nd time, meaning that while it's dry right now, we could definitely see some rain later. And from experience, I can tell you that in China, if the rain falls down, it only gets wet really, really, really slowly. I believe we saw that last time in Hungary as well, didn't we? Because then it took a long, long time for the weather to change from dry conditions to wet conditions. Or sorry, vice versa, I believe it was, from wet to dry conditions, because we started on the full wets. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. I have wanted back the standings for you on the screen to have a little thorough look before we go to the race, as it's going to take an extra few minutes to get this lobby restarted right there.
It's open, I think.
It's open, yeah, but I can't leave the game at the moment. I've got to have to leave the old lobby first. I mean, restarting the game, to be fair, takes longer than just waiting for this.
Well, I did that, so.
Anyway,
but yeah,
standings.
Let's have a look at these very brightly coloured standings while we waffle. Ultimately,
that's what we're really good at, aren't we? Waffling about.
Yeah, we are professional wafflers. I want to say it was an odd qualifying from some drivers. Boba, very off.
Very out of place. Yeah.
Yeah. Although his last 3 results have also been pretty poor. 16th, DNF and DNF. He's had a really poor run this season. Only scored 10 points so far. Tim Tanimo also not getting away with anything. He's had an up and down season. But the one driver I was really surprised by was top 97. Where's his qualifying form gone? He had the first 5 races. His qualifying, what was he? Consistent in the top 7, top 8? Really
Not really,
consistent.
actually, no. He's been
What?
down there at the start of the season as well. Maybe this is just like a reset to form that he had at the start of the season. Maybe he just needs to find his groove again. Maybe he hasn't touched the game for the last 3 weeks.
Driven in Hungary, maybe.
Yeah, actually, maybe even didn't touch it in 4 weeks because he also missed Hungary. You're absolutely right. But yeah, it could be many different factors. But yeah, you're right. He's definitely not up there. But I have some confidence in him because race results are much better than qualifying results for him, and
Yeah, I
overtaking
agree.
in China is not impossible. So
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I think it was just a quite strange qualifying to see from him being so far off the pace as well. I don't think we've seen that from him. But we saw it from a couple of drivers though, didn't we? A couple of drivers really struggling. Daniel Gottschalk as well. Bogdan Moldovan. A lot of these drivers really struggling. The drivers who seem to perform really well in the first sort of, what, 2, 3, 4 races of the season, really struggling in the last couple of races and especially qualifying wise. But we do know, with for instance Daniel Gottschalk specifically, his race pace is phenomenal,
especially in
and
the
that's where
rain.
he does especially in the rain. He just needs rain. That's all he'll be hoping
Yeah,
for.
exactly. It's
Are you
it's
in?
always awesome to see those drivers really come alive in those conditions, aren't they? Because it's just special for me. I really like to see those drivers who are really good in those weather conditions. I don't know. It's like a different sort of skill set you need to have or something.
Are you in the lobby? Quick
Not
question.
yet, because Maximilian hasn't restarted his game yet, and he's doing it right now. So
But yeah,
yeah, that's
I
also the
think
norm, or just restart the game to potentially prevent FPS issues. But then again, and I'm not sure if everybody knows this already, you do not have FPS issues if you play on Windows full screen. So
I think it's partly because some drivers use software as well to help themselves during the race.
telemetry software, I guess. Then yeah,
Yeah. Telemetry stuff. Sometimes that needs to be calibrated between qualifying and the race.
that's a fair point.
Um,
Yeah, we don't need
yeah,
that. We're commentators. We just need to
yeah.
calibrate
We don't,
ourselves.
but we don't need that, but we still use it because it's quite fun. But yeah.
We need to
Um,
watch the weather. I mean, it's very useful information. I just wish commentators or spectators in general had an opportunity to watch the weather and the predictions and stuff like the racers, the drivers can do, because that would be so very useful, to be honest.
I just noticed something with
Hmm.
our pole position man, Lighty. He turned up for the first 2 races, got third and 12th.
Hmm.
Then he turned up for the last 2 races, got second and 11th. Is it time for another podium this race? Based
I
off of this man's form.
It's an interesting, isn't it? Podium,
Yeah.
then a non-points finish, then 2 races he's missed out, then second place and another non-point finish. It's indeed quite interesting. That normally would mean he wouldn't race tonight, but he does. So, yeah, by your logic, indeed, he should get a podium, and he does have the best position to get it from. I mean, pole position by that big of a margin. I mean, I don't think he'll be escaping from DRS. That's going to be a difficult job in this game, especially. But I can see him making a proper shot for the win. I mean, in terms of championship, no, there's no chance there because he's 73 points behind. He needs a miracle for that. But anywhere lower than that, even second place for him is not impossible to get. There's a gap between him and Conrad of 33 points, which is definitely crossable like this since Conrad isn't racing. And if he wins, that gap shrinks down to 8 points. So yeah, there's good hopes for Lighty to get a lot higher up there. But he needs to do it, because while he gets those podiums, those other 2 finishes he has are out of the points, and those are due to incidents that have happened that he was involved in.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to sum up is this has been a really bad time for Leroy Brown to have a bad qualifying. To be
Yes,
7th. It's a really bad race. If he finishes where he is, he'll increase the championship gap to 46 points, which of course does help him.
you can join the lobby, by
But
the way, just a little bit in between.
but it doesn't eliminate his the risk of him losing the championship. And so,
No.
to some degree, I sit here and I look at the standings and I just think he needs to get this win. This is the race that he needs to win. It's not he'll want to win. You want to win, but sometimes you don't need to. But this is the race he does need to win, because if he doesn't, the championship mathematically is still on.
Yeah, this would be the final blow. If he wins tonight, it will be the final blow to Conrad's championship hopes. His other, well, I'm not sure we can call them championship rivals, but the others in the top 5. Louis Welch not racing. Exafox is here. He's starting from, what was it? He's above Leroy Brown, I believe. He was P4, I think he's starting from. So some good hopes for him. Daniel Gottschalk, of course, is qualifying not great tonight, starting in 17th, right ahead of his teammate. So he's going to need some extraordinary racing tonight. We know he can do it. Then going down to P6, we've got Bogdan Moldovan, who's on the same amount of points as Daniel. He's starting a little bit higher up, but not that brilliant either tonight, to be honest. And apart from his podium in, what was it? The first race there in the USA, the Circuit of the Americas. Yeah, thank you. Some top 10 finishes, yes. 1 DNF. But we were genuinely thinking he could be a championship contender at the start of the season, didn't we?
Yeah, I think I just noticed something.
Mm-hmm.
Mathematically, the top 19 could still, from 19th up to 1st, could still win the championship. But
would be fascinating if Thomas Lamminen now wins it.
If Leroy Brown goes on to win tonight, he could ultimately rule out all the way up to 5th out of the championship.
That is incredible.
Even 4th. So there could only be 2 drivers left, but because Louis Welch isn't here, he could also get ruled out of the championship as well. So there realistically would just be 1 driver left.
You're right. And another interesting fact is that only 3 full-time drivers are out of contention at the moment. Those are Ivan Santamaria, Thomas Lang, and Lefter. But to be fair, we haven't really seen Lefter a whole lot. He's missed 4 out of the 7 races now. He's not finished in the 2 that he did race in. Thomas Lang, though, he's up there, isn't he, in qualifying tonight, as is Ivan Santamaria. So maybe those 2 have eaten something special during the Christmas break as well, because they're back in business tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, very much. It's form that we've seen them have in the past.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to see. But to some degree, it's a bit late. To some degree, it's a little late. But ultimately, I think if Thomas Lang could pull off a good few finishes to end off the season, last 4 races, get maybe 2 podiums in them and, a couple of decent finishes, I'd say pretty much he could call it a successful season.
Yeah. Let's just find out if they can keep it up tonight in the race as well. We're about to get underway. The lobby has been allowed to ready up. The grid has been formed. All 20 drivers are in their proper grid slot. I'm curious to see, though, what Lewis Walker can do from last place. He's just going to have fun tonight, isn't he? Because he qualified on the mediums. And yeah, let's see what he can do there. Just going to have a good time.
Yeah, very much. One driver I'm very interested by is Exafox tonight. We said about before qualifying how if he took his chances, he could potentially still be in a title fight, or if he took his chances, he could still finish 2nd in the championship. He's done that to some degree. He's very much taken his chances, and I wouldn't say it's all too unrealistic to see him go up into 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, the difference is, what's it, 2 points? 6, yeah, 51 to 45. I thought it had 49. 6 points, that's not a lot. And Louis isn't racing. And he's 4th at the moment, so that's 12 points gained already if he finishes like this. That will definitely be 3rd in the standings. And yeah, 21 points behind on Conrad. There's definitely some opportunities for him.
A bit far tonight, he'll have to win to get
but
2nd,
still, he can definitely shrink the gap by a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if he could get 3rd, from how his season started, and how he's had a few moments where he has had struggles. For instance, he had some struggles, in round 1, round 3, and last race, and also round 4. The fact that he's had a couple of races where he has struggled to bring himself into a top 3 contention battle here is quite interesting.
We've gone onto the track. It's cloudy at the moment. Already the weather changes are having an effect on our racing. Potentially, we might see some rain coming in then. But we'll be starting off dry, so either the hards or the mediums are going to be chosen. We will not know the weather for the rest of the race until the race is actually started. That's unfortunately how the telemetry works. But if we see rain later down in the race, I wouldn't be surprised to see them all start on the hard tires, like all of them did in Singapore, bar 1 or 2 drivers. Looks a bit cloudy, says Coda. Well, it's a bit more than just a little bit cloudy, by the way. It's very cloudy. Also, a little side note. I do have a new mic, so let me know if there's any issues arising in the stream. So far, I've seen nobody complain, so I think it's working quite fancily at the moment. And we're on our way already. They've done that really fast. 4, 5 red lights on right now. Can Lighty keep pole position from Maximilian Lukert? Let's find out right now. They're getting on their way already. Some drives are really having a very slow start. Thomas Lang is tumbling down the order big time, but Maximilian Lukert already swooping into the lead, or is he? Because the corner is long, long, long and gets tighter and tighter. But it looks like the RB has got it covered right there. Exafox then has got 2 angry Ferraris behind him. Both of them very red indeed. Mark Schluter and Ivan Santoria fighting it out for position. Both desperate for more points, but the man with the worst start in the world right now, Thomas Lang, is now fighting for 13th, trying to get back up to 11th, getting squeezed by 2 McLarens. Absolute disaster there for the Haas driver at the moment. Still side by side are the Ferraris right there, 4th and 5th. Finally, they slot in behind one another. Mark Schluter getting the better of Ivan for now. Leroy Brown up to P6 already. Thomas Lebanon is going for a dive on the championship leader. Wow, look at that brave move into turn 9. Not working out quite as he would have liked. Stay 7th though for the one. And this disaster in the back of the field. That's the other Haas of Bogdan Moldovan getting spun round. Thankfully, it looks like, at least from our point of view, his car is in one piece. But look at the flyer Maximilian is having. Has already created an 1/8 of a gap to now second place. Exafox has also overtaken Lighty. This is not the start that the Red Bull driver was after. A bit further back in the field then, Damien Carril trying to fight for position, and Maytex overtaking Tim Tornimo. Damien having a little bit of a look. There's Tom 97, who's also lost quite a lot of place at the start of the race, now finds himself in P18. Then Lucas Beiser, the other RB driver, fighting Thomas for what is now P10. But yeah, the Haas driver, man, what on earth happened to him?
Not just what on earth happened to Bogdan Moldovan, but also what happened to Tom 97.
Yeah, 3 drivers.
He's dropped back, I believe, 6 places?
5, yeah.
5. He's dropped back 5 places since the start. I'm not sure what's happened there, really. But the driver who's had it worse is, of course, Thomas Lang. He's dropped back 7 places off at the start. He's had the worst start of everyone. And we've got a bit of a move going on further back. We've got Daniel Gottschall. We've got a couple of side-by-side moments. Lucas Beisner tried to get past Thomas Lang, but can't. He does have front wing damage. So Lucas Beisner today not looking too great. Damien making the move, trying to get past Lewis Walker. Oh, he's got a bit of attack from Daniel Gottschall once again. He closes the door and McLaren holds on to 13th for now. But almost, that was 12th place. But what a start for Maximilian Lukert. He's really gotten away well. And this is exactly the start he needed. And just to quickly talk about Lighty and his start, he didn't just get a poor start, he also went deep into the first corner of Sector 2, and that's why he actually lost his place to Exafox as well, moving down to 3rd. But it does seem like he's gotten back in check with the car, and it's working well. Yeah,
and Exafox is already under pressure from the Red Bull driver. Lighty is getting closer and closer, ready for the move. Of course, Maximilian can no longer escape, with the DRS being enabled on lap 2 already, meaning he's going to have to try and hold it out at the front of the field. Also, some of the drivers had a great start. Also, thanks to his tires, is of course Lewis Walker. He qualified on the mediums. He's now racing on them as well. He's already gotten up to P12 from pretty much last place on the grid, as Tim Tornimo is the man with the fastest lap of the race in P15, interestingly. Also, I can't help but notice them all starting on the hard tires, but I'm looking at the weather, and it's only going to get better. It's going to get sunnier and sunnier all throughout the race, so it looks like most drivers just wanted to start on this particular compound, as Damien Carril's fighting with Daniel Gottschalk, is also trying to make up more places since the race start. He bangs the McLaren out of the way, going into turn 6 right here, side by side. They still go. Damien isn't yielding just yet. The Dutchman trying desperately to stay ahead of the Williams. Now, no, that would have been Braves going side by side in turn 7. A nasty corner indeed to get that job done. But Daniel gets ahead. Oh, Damien have a bit of a moment right there, but the battle for 13th is definitely going quite hot. Back to the front of the field, though, it's still Maximilian from Exafox, from Lighty, from Mark Schluter and Ivan Santamaria. Right now, Ferrari is doing an absolute marvelous job, and so far in this season, their best job by a clear mile.
I want to say we said about Ivan Santamaria, he struggled this season, only 2 points in his pocket. He's now 5th, on for 10 points. And
it's incredible.
He could go for a podium or even a win here tonight. So
yeah.
I have to say, is this how he's going to be for the rest of the season? I hope so, because we know the skill he has. But even if he gets P5 here tonight, I'd say that's a very good return to form.
It is indeed, and to know that previous season on the same game he was fighting for the championship, this is what it should look like. But there comes the championship leader though on the Ivan Santamaria we were talking about, and he's now demoted to P6, which is still 4 times better than his best result so far with only 2 points on the board. It's 8 points at the moment. Lewis Walker happily making up another place, going up well into the top 10 now, into P9 in fact, as he goes past his name mate, so to say. The other Lewis Jones in the Sauber right there, demoted to P10. He's got Thomas Lang behind at the moment, but Lewis Walker doing an absolute stellar job to move through the field thanks to his medium tyres, which will drop off very soon indeed, but then we'll find out what his true race pace is going to be like once those tyres are at equal level with the hard tyres. Let's see then, the front still the same as we are now on lap 4, except for Leroy Brown, who's now managed to squeeze himself in between the Ferraris.
Leroy Brown, he's doing his usual, isn't he? He's back on his rounds again.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he's very much he's making his way through the field. What's the scariest thing I find about Leroy Brown as a driver is that he gets through the field quietly. He doesn't make the, big moves, does he? But we are about to see a big move from Thomas Lamminen, trying to make the move on Ivan Santamaria. These two were championship rivals in the past. But it looks like one Aston Martin gets past the Ferrari, and now it's the man of Thomas Lamminen up at the 6th.
There he goes. Ivan is slowly starting to lose positions, whether they're the long game or because he doesn't really have the race pace at the moment. Time will only tell. Behind him, though, the other Aston Martin, the Lewis Walker, is making another move on Gabor Santos, the Hungarian, getting overtaken there by the Englishman for P8 now. Lewis is definitely on a stride. He will soon approach Ivan Santamaria as well, and then his own teammate of Thomas Lamminen. We'll have to say, though, that neither full-time Aston Martin driver is present tonight. Lefted and Joe Hoppa out of their seats at the moment, so 2 reserves for the green team right there. Let's see what they can do in their lovely green cars indeed. We're now on lap 5. Things have changed around quite a lot right now. Thomas Lang is trying to recover his poor start. At the back of the field, Bogdan Moldovan and Tystar. I'm not sure what on earth is going on with Bogdan. I think he still has damage, but not visually, because his pace, 4.5 seconds behind the rest of the field. That's far, far away from what he usually can do.
Very much, but his form has been on a bit of a downtrend in recent races. Struggled in the last 2 races, of course. He only achieved 5 points in the last 2 races combined. Exafox going for the lead of the race, and now it's Lighty! A double overtake from the Red Bull. He retakes the lead of the race for the first time since being on the starting grid, and Lighty now leads, and I think that's the first time I've ever heard or ever said that Lighty's made an overtake.
That sounds incredibly cruel, but anyway, Lighty back in the lead of the race. Yeah, you're not wrong actually, but it sounds like a really mean thing to say. Anyway, yeah, he's leading the race. Exafox in 2nd place. Maximilian Looker lost 2 places. We saw them go 3 wide before turn 14. And of course, he couldn't defend there without DRS, and the both of them were so close behind, he had no choice but to yield. Now he's going to have to keep Mark Schluter behind, who's definitely still on a roll. His teammate Ivan Santamaria now down to P8. Lewis Walker is now right behind his own teammate of Thomas Lamminen. I wonder if the Aston Martins are going to swap their positions, even though those mediums are right now 5 laps old. They're past their prime already. They last about 10 or 11 laps, as you said, Epic. So they're about the halfway point through right now. I think they're pretty much equal, aren't they, in terms of tyre performance?
I'd say so, but I will say one thing. The hards and the mediums have pretty much been identical in pace. I'm just looking at the times, and the mediums have only been about a 1/10 to a 1/10 and a half faster. So and that's since lap 1, by the way.
Mhm.
So they're not a lot faster, and we're going to see another 3-wide moment down the back straight. We're going to see a double overtake for Maximilian Lockhart this time. And very much, as you said, was a cruel comment. It's very much the same for Maximilian Lockhart. But I'm not going to say it because I'll hurt too many people's feelings in one single race.
I was jesting, don't worry.
Yeah, it's okay, Lighty. We love you. But yeah, honestly, this is a strange moment in the race because everybody from first down to 18th is still within a second of each other after 7 laps.
Indeed, but looking at the minimap, we see Damien Carril starting to struggle a little bit to keep up with the top 12, so potentially a group could form from him down to Tom. Sorry?
Gabor's also struggling quite a
Yeah,
bit. He's about
all of a sudden.
9th. Yeah. I'm not sure what's happened to him. His qualifying pace wasn't bad. Maybe he went more qualifying pace than race pace, but it clearly has not worked for him so far, has it? He's been
He's got a damage.
Oh yeah, he's missing. Yeah, he's missing front wing end plate. I just noticed that. I thought something was missing on the car. But yeah, he's kept up quite nicely for front wing damage, but it's still missing that. And for a debut, it isn't bad, but it isn't great at the same time.
No, not something you want to see. A bit of your car missing on your first race in Tier 3. A tier this high up, you want to show them all you're definitely worth of a full-time seat. But so far, you know, P8, it's still the position where he started from, so not too bad at all. But he probably wants some more than that. Mark Schluter getting really close to the top 3 right there. But it remains unchanged for the time being. Lewis Walker was having a look at Thomas Lamina, but he's no longer cutting his way through the field as fast as he was at the start. But still though, 13 places up in 7 laps time is still an incredible achievement, even with those medium tires right there. Ivan Santamaria now is losing quite a lot of time on Gabor. In the meanwhile, Axefox has almost having a go on Maximilian. He's not gotten a proper chance though to get the move done, so he stays in second. Out of the top 3, he's the only one that hasn't led a single lap just yet. He's led for a very tiny moment over the span of this race so far, but he's still stuck in second place. He's just right in the middle, literally, of the fight for the win of this race, isn't he?
Yeah, very realistic to if I race against these guys, but yeah, I think Exafox, I think, let's be honest, he's definitely been inside of the top 3 strongest drivers so far. But his only worry now is he pushing hard to try and take the lead, or does he want to focus on his own race and just stick to his position? And I think this is possibly where Xfox has proven before, where he has been stronger over other drivers, is that he focuses more on his own race than, for instance, the people around him.
Yeah, I think he heard us saying that he needs to win the race if he wants to claim second place after this race already. And he's doing quite a nice job so far, isn't he? He's in second.
Yeah, very much.
And he's fighting hard, but...
We just need to do this now. We just need to tell drivers to win and they'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we sometimes jinx. Whoa, there comes Mark Schluter with a big dive into the hairpin, and I'm sure Lighty did not see that one coming. He has to yield quite aggressively there. Mark Schluter, he's also desperate for a podium because Ferrari so far has had a pretty poor season. And Leroy Brown coming up as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's going to try and go around the outside, but not enough. I have to say, it's... When I saw that, because I was riding on board with Lighty, he just braked early, by the way. That's all he did. He hit into Exafox slightly, a kick for braking, and that's why Mark Schluter was able to send it down the inside and make the move. But this is quite strange for Mark Schluter, isn't it? He's been very aggressive this race, as opposed to some of his previous, races in previous seasons, where he's always been one of the more passive drivers.
Yeah, I think he's realized it's now time to up the game. Because he wants to have a podium. This is the type of attitude he needs to have, and it's working so far. He's now in third. He's managed to leave the pole sitter behind, at least for a little bit, and he's now properly fighting for the win of the race in that Ferrari. In the meanwhile, the top 8 is definitely separated. Even including Gabor with his damaged front wing is able to run away really fast from the rest of the field. Thomas Lang, in the meanwhile, is involved in a lot of different fights. He's already been overtaken by Daniel Gottschalk. And now he's got Damien Carril and Tim Turnimo behind. I'm watching the front of the field as well. Is there any fight going to happen there? I think Axefox is not going for a move right there. So we're switching our attention back then to the second group of Lewis Jones and co. There comes Damien Carril trying to get past Thomas Lang. He's about to lose another position then. His race is turning into an absolute humongous disaster right there. Damien Carril, though, can't get past just yet. Tim Turnimo is also very close to this small group of cars. In the meanwhile, they create themselves a little bit to get to the cars in front. And there comes the Dutchman and properly passed. There's Tim Turnimo as well. There's Lewis Jones also losing a lot of positions. Ivan back into P9 and Daniel from the back of the field up into the points already. So he's doing a swell job there on those hard tires. Thomas Lang desperately trying to take back P12 from Damien and actually manages to do it right there. Just barely though, because now Damien's got the inside line as they head towards turn 6. It's a little bit chaotic and hectic right there. Damien wants to get past. There is Lewis Jones in the way pretty much for them both to get past. There goes Tim Turnimo getting a bit of a lag situation. Getting tapped now by Boba and several other drivers. And there goes Boba into the grass, nearly taking himself out of the race because of Tim's potential leggy issues right there. He was all over the place and then nearly into the car there of Boba. It's a near disaster, but thankfully averted for now.
Yeah, very much. A bit close. A bit close for anybody, I will say. I just wanna mention something that I've just noticed. I just looked at the Constructors Championship. It doesn't really mean a lot here in WOR, the Constructors, because it's more about the drivers.
Thomas,
yeah,
what's happened?
I think he's given up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's given up.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Oh, Leroy Brown, by the way, getting into a bit of action against Tuomas Laminin. Man that we haven't seen this fight before, have we? We haven't seen this yet. We are finally getting this. I wish I brought popcorn to this humongous battle we're seeing going on.
Yeah, these are two big names.
Yeah, very big names, I must say. But you see the experience difference, don't you, between these two and the others? We see with some of the others like Lewis Jones, Ivan Sandrid, Damien. They're all trying to make moves when they can, as opposed to, for instance, Leroy Brown and Tuomas Laminin. They're playing almost like they're almost driving like their teammates, and they're kind of helping each other. You know, if I don't go for a dive bomb here, you don't hold me up.
Yeah, it's also the thing between the bigger leagues like these and smaller leagues where drivers really want to prove themselves and just make overtakes wherever they possibly can. But racing smart usually yields a lot better result than just throwing your car into whatever corner you can to overtake and losing a whole lot of time, not for yourself, but for the others fighting you as well, and potentially giving you a much worse result than you should actually have earned. Anyway, the top 8, far away now from Damien and lower. Indeed, you were right about Thomas Lang, by the way. He's retired in the pit lane. His car's now out on track. Bogdan Moldovan is having a disaster as well, isn't he?
He's spun again in the same corner.
Yeah. I think we might see a double Haas retirement.
10 laps after the last time as well. That's kind of
such a
pity. I
pity.
feel bad for him. Exactly 10 laps as well.
Yeah.
You know, he's had a great season, but he's one of the drivers that it is very difficult to sum up how disappointing it is to see his sort of drop off in form. And in this case, it's got to really dig, into your heart a bit, dig into sort of your mentality, having bad luck and things like that. It's bad luck, not getting away with moves and things like that. He's still going to keep going. But you know what I mean, when you've gone through a few difficult races, past 2 races, now he's in probably his worst race of the season. Yeah, it's got to be difficult. It's got to really break down your mentality a bit and sort of reduce your hopes of sort of having a decent season.
People, Jack Harrington saying in the chat, did brother just say that Ivan isn't experienced? I think Epic said that he is experienced, and you just misheard it. I think, right?
Yeah. I was saying between like Ivan Santamaria, Tuomas Laminin and Leroy Brown, those sort of three, the sort of ones that we've seen almost the most, I would say. So especially Tuomas Laminin, Ivan Santamaria, especially here in Tier 3. They're probably, I'd say, probably the two most experienced drivers in Tier 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there comes Lighty.
Exactly.
There comes Lighty, by the way, in the hairpin. Sorry for interrupting. He's going to try fight back at Mark Schlutter at exactly the same corner that Mark took it from him. Lighty takes revenge and gets back into the top 3, and a good job by him right there. And meanwhile, his teammate does somewhat of the same thing, goes into P7 because Lewis Walker actually goes into the pit lane, so never mind that. Of course, he has to go there because his medium tires are pretty much ancient right now. It drops a long way down the field, but at least he'll be having the undercut and potentially trying to challenge the race leaders right there. Now, Lighty's on a roll. He's already challenging Exafox for second place. He wants those positions back. He wants to come back into the race lead right there. What Mark Schlutter couldn't do, Lighty's now going to try to do. Here on lap 30, we're about the halfway point of the race. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see which driver is going to yield first and go to those mediums. It will be a little while because they're only 12 laps old right now, and those mediums will not last another 16 laps right there. So at least 3 or 4 more laps until we see a potential undercut from those on the hard tire users. The top 7 now then. Actually, Gabor has now lost proper pace. He's no longer within a second of the car ahead, or now he is, just on the DRS detection line. He somewhat manages to get back into 1 second of the car ahead. That is Thomas Lamminen. Interesting to see how an ex-champion of Tier 3 is now fighting a future champion of Tier 3 right there. The Mercedes versus the Aston Martin. There they go once again then. 3 wide go the race leaders, and Lighty does get what he wanted to get, and he goes back into the lead. Maximilian back down to 3rd, and Exafox just bravely here around 2nd place. His favorite position of this race so far.
By the way, just for the news, Tom Slang, he didn't just retire because of the start. His clutch didn't work off the start. That's why he dropped down.
That explains a lot.
Force feedback kept dying mid-corner. So, very unlucky for him. And I could see why. Of course, he would have retired if that kept happening. Or even if it just happened once, you lost all those places. I can see why it's been quite frustrating. But sadly, as I think if you're used to F1 24, you'll know that this is quite a common occurrence. And it's becoming more and more common. And look at this. Exafox tried to make a move on Lighty around the outside. Ooh, a little bit close there. It was a poor exit from Lighty, but almost entirely opportunistic from Exafox.
Yeah, we were watching it from Lamminen's perspective as they were having a go at each other into turns 1 and 2. I was following Lamminen on board. They are getting feisty as well, aren't they, for that fight into the top 5. The Aston Martin versus the Mercedes. Oh, Exafox, man, that was a certain wobble there coming out of the corner, allowing Maximilian to close up properly. Even Mark Schlutter is close for a move right there, and Lighty potentially safe from any attacks. But Maximilian with a brilliant opportunity to take P2, but he's not close enough just yet. Looks like Exafox has got great straight line speed because he keeps all of those cars behind. Remains in his favorite position for now as Damien Carril fighting hard there with several cars. There come the Sauber cars side by side. Ivan Santamaria is also making his moves and losing positions at the same time. And from the top 5, we see 2 cars yielding on lap 15. It's Lighty and Thomas Lamminen going quite early for the medium tires.
It's going a bit crazy, isn't it? Everybody's trying to go for something different. But Lighty here, he's going early. Will it work? If the hards could only last 15 laps, let's say, and he does, by the way, lose out to Lewis Walker as well. But if the hards could only go about 15 laps, or 14 actual racing laps, will the mediums last 13? That's the big question.
I wonder. Cars, of course, are now lighter, and I think they did it because Lewis Walker was being fast. Maybe Lighty was being warned that he might come out behind the Aston Martin, and he now did, and now he might potentially be stuck to get that undercut done. Lewis Walker is holding him up quite nicely to allow Thomas Lamminen to get a little bit closer there. He's missed out a little bit there on the pit stops. He's about a second behind Lighty at the moment, but he's gaining fast. It was 1.4 seconds at the start of this lap out of the pit lane. It's now down to 1.0, and he's about to gain it, but there goes Lighty. He wastes absolutely no time, but this allows Lewis Walker to get DRS on the back straight. I'm not sure if that's something that Lighty wants, but he's impatient. He wants to get going. He really, really wants that win for this race, and this was the moment, perhaps, that might have decided that already. There come other cars into the pit lane. I believe that's 3 of them at a time. Maximilian continues. Exofox, Mark Schluter, and Leo Bry come in for their pit stops, as does Gabor Xantos. Ivan Santamaria and his group continue on for another lap. They're still fighting hard. Tom97 finds himself back into 3rd place right now. We've got a yellow flag as Mark Schluter retires. What's happened there?
I have no clue. What?
I'm
Did
staggered.
he actually do it? Or...
Why? Front
know what's
wing.
happened.
Jack Harrington saying Mark Schluter front wing damaged.
Oh.
Maximilian... Oh, sorry, Mark Schluter was now the host. Maximilian is gone. He's also left the session.
We might have a problem.
We may have a problem. So both of the hosts are now gone.
Yeah.
Maximilian did stay out on his own accord. That's what happened before he left. So this might just be a regular disconnect. So far, the lobby appears to remain stable. We'll keep our eye on the Discord to see what's going to happen. The race, at least for now, continues as normal.
He could lose his win.
He could, yeah. This is absolutely horrible for him. Yeah, he says, yeah, he game crashes, he says. Maximilian confirms his game has crashed. That is absolutely horrible. He says the game crashes right when Mark DNFs. He had the best threat, he said, and this is a race loss for him, isn't it? There's no other way of saying it.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see in the next few laps what his AI is coming in as well. I don't think he wants to pit this lap.
At least it doesn't make him go even slower, because the AI, at least in the pit lane, goes as fast as the rest.
Probably goes faster with the braking that it has. Tom97 actually leads the race, by the way.
Yeah,
Something
he does.
I did not expect to be saying. He's had a really rough day, though. It's been his roughest day in the office. And I don't know what happened to him this race. Qualifying, he seemed a bit lost on pace, didn't he? He seemed like he was just a bit off, something didn't feel right. And then, sort of go back, like you said, to how he started the season. But the race hasn't gotten any better for him. He had a very poor start, and then he's just had a poor... he just hasn't had good pace. He made his way up to, I think, 12th or 13th. And he's just kind of sat there for quite a while.
It's strange, isn't it? But now he's leading, at least for a little while, and Maximilian, yeah, he's not able to join back. He's also confirming that in the Discord now. That's a big, big shame. He had a beautiful opportunity to win it. He now says the game crashes over and over again. Such a shame that the game is having such a big impact. Yeah, I hate it.
It does crash repeatedly. It's just a problem, and it does ruin racing. And it does. I mean, we could have seen another winner this season. We could have seen something very different. And I personally find it incredibly disappointing to moments like this, because it really does ruin a driver's chances. From when I used to do league racing, I constantly had disconnecting problems, and it ruined probably about half the races I did. And it was really frustrating, and it always hurt me, and it was really annoying, but at this level, when these guys practice so much, and they are so fast, it is probably one of the most infuriating things that it wasn't even your mistake.
No.
It was just the game being bad, just being completely stupid and not working. And of course that's just even more annoying that it's something you can't fix.
I hate to say, but the battle for the leader race is now shrunk down to just 3 drivers. Exofox, thanks to his lap later pit stop, has now been left behind. He's not able to get back within DRS range. Through the corners, yes, he's slightly faster. As you can see, he's gaining a little bit of time right there, thanks to Lewis's hard tires. Let's see if he can make it then. Back into the top 4. Sorry?
Has he gone back-to-back mediums?
Who? Exofox? No. He started on the hards.
No, Tumas Lamlin.
No, he's also started on the hards. Lewis Walker's was the Aston started on the mediums.
Oh yeah, he started. I can't see the difference between the two. They're both green.
Yeah, and they're now together as well. Look at Leroy Brown though. He's pitted another lap later. 2 seconds behind Exofox, who's still not within DRS range. As Lighty now goes in between both Aston Martins with Thomas Laminen taking the lead from him. Lewis Walker still sticking behind. This is, of course, a big opportunity for Lighty to go for that race win with, unfortunately, Maximilian now out of the way. And Exafox for now still not within DRS range, nor is Leroy Brown. And Damien Carril, I have to say, is the big winner from all of this chaos happening, because he finds himself in P6 all of a sudden.
Yeah, I agree. I think this race has just been crazy. I've got no words for it. But you know how early I was looking at the constructors? I've just noticed something. Mercedes have been dominant this season. They're 63 points ahead of McLaren.
Yeah.
But what is shocking is how one-sided some teams are. For instance, Haas, all of their points have been scored for purely Bogdan Moldovan.
Yeah.
Aston Martin, though, if they finish where they are, they're going to score 40 points, right? Aston Martin across the rest of the season has only scored 14. So
the reserve drivers are doing a better job than the full-time drivers.
Yeah, at the moment, they're set to go up to, I believe they're set to go up to 5th.
Wow.
From 9th to 5th, which is crazy to think. But I have to say, these two guys of Lewis Walker and Thomas Lamlin, we know them from previous seasons, and we both know that they are incredibly fast and some of the best drivers around. And generally, that's being shown here today. Whoa, I saw that from Exafox. I just saw the rear end of his car. It just slid across my screen. But that was a bit too close, I think, for his liking. A bit too close to the rear. But Xbox has been able to catch up, so maybe the fresher mediums are helping a bit.
Meanwhile, Damien Carril has been jinxed by me. He's now down to P8 as Gabor and Daniel have overtaken him already. Now, potentially Gabor might be in trouble from Daniel Gottschalk. No, he's not making the move, though, in turn 1. Exafox, in the meanwhile, as we've shown by our wows, has been rejoining the top 3 right there. Now making it a 4-way win for the... four-way battle for the win, I should say. Not the other way around. That's kind of crazy. Leroy Brown is getting further and further behind because he's alone. He's got no chance of catching the slipstream of the cars ahead. It was 2.2 seconds, now up to 2.6. So the man who's been very strong all season is not going to get another win here tonight in China. So the fight for the win for the top 4 at the moment. And surprisingly also, I have to say, no track limit penalties anywhere.
I will say this, to be fair. This track is quite difficult to get track limit.
That's fair, yeah, except for the last corner.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the only place where you can get track limit warning.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
true.
sure. But I just want to sum up something. Leroy Brown, we can see that Mercedes hunting in the distance as Lighty, that wobbling almost 3 wide into the hairpin. Holy. A bit of a battle between Exafox and Lewis Walker. Lewis Walker staying in front. But Leroy Brown, he's on his own a bit, isn't he? He can see the drivers in front. Can't catch them. But can't fall further behind. He's kind of stuck a bit, but he has been catching bit by bit, by the way. Last lap he gained about 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths. Not enough to win at the moment, but, you know, from what we know of him, he's very fast, and we know his race pace is brilliant, but it hasn't been as good today as it usually is. But it's still 10 more points over his championship rival. We said about, if he won today, he'd make it, you know, to 65 points over Conrad Bohm. At the moment, he's only going to make that 50 points. And so, has the curse, the commentator's curse, gotten to him? Possibly. But it's still 50 points, and that's still quite difficult to close in.
And I think that's his mindset tonight. I mean, I think he thinks along the lines of, if I can win, that's great. Otherwise, an extra amount of points over Conrad is always welcome. Because with 4 rounds remaining, 50 points ahead means Conrad will have to average 12.5 points per race, which is a huge amount of points to gain either way. So it's going to be difficult nonetheless. No matter how many points Leroy Brown scores tonight, the gap is going to remain quite big. Tim Torniemana also leaving the session. Potentially another game crash then for him too. A lot of issues plaguing this race tonight, unfortunately, but still we have got a four-way fight for the win at the moment. Gabor Santos in the meanwhile getting past Daniel Gottschalk. They're swapping positions back and forth. Lewis Jones doing the same against Maytex. Maytex also starting in the back of the field, finds himself in 11th, and even Tom97 has found the road to recovery. Even though his best position he can gain tonight is only 10th without a safety car, it's still better than where he was at the start of the race. So all in all, good job. And there we go. We were talking about penalties a lap ago. The commentator's curse tonight is very strong indeed, because Lucas Beisner gets the first one of the race.
That... I'm looking all over the grid, and I'm trying to find a driver that we haven't spoken about, because we've had a lot of action.
Yeah, look at this, for example, Exavox. There he is. He's gotten past Lewis Walker. Back into the podium he goes. Sorry for interrupting, but I saw it happen into turn 6. He lined up the move, tried to go on the inside, but was forced to go around the outside, and that worked much better for him anyway. And now he splits the Aston Martins, and he is going to try and chase down both Thomas Laminen and Lighty for the win the race. So the fight for the lead is definitely heating up big time. But please do continue.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for a driver we haven't spoken about today, because we spoke about everybody, haven't we?
Yeah. We've been very inclusive.
Yeah, very inclusive today. But one driver that's gone under my radar a little bit is Daniel Gottschalk. He's going for 6th.
Wow.
This man didn't even qualify inside the top 15, and he's going for 6th. He is on another level tonight, isn't he? In his... I did say race pace has always been better, but this is just on an extreme scale, isn't it? Of having huge amounts of race paces. So, by the way, Tom97 might just keep his points every race record, his 100% points record, because he's up into 10th.
Yeah. Also, a little bit thanks to Tim Tornemo's disconnect. He's now back, actually, Tim Tornemo is. He now finds himself in 13th. Not really what he likes to see. We also need not to forget that Lewis Walker started in last place and now fights for the win. Of course, that last place wasn't due to him not having great qualifying pace. It just was due to the fact that he really didn't want to qualify anywhere higher than 20th because it wasn't doing it on the medium tires. And now, those 10-lap old hard tires, as the mediums start to die off, his chances for the win, I think, are starting to look better and better with every passing lap.
Very much, but he has still got 3 almighty fast drivers in front of him that
is true.
Like crazy. But remember, Lewis Walker's probably, his pace and his tyres are probably on about the same amount of wear as the medium tyres, because he's gone longer on the hards, and he's also been battling quite a bit more than Fritz Lighty or even Thomas Laminen have. But, talk about Thomas Laminen, it looks like X-Fox is about to make a move on him.
He sticks behind, strangely enough. Is he going to go for it then in the hairpin? No, he isn't. He just keeps pushing the Aston Martin through the corners, pretty much literally, forcing Thomas Laminen to get really close to the Red Bull right there. I think Exavox is trying to force the Finn into a mistake right there, but it doesn't really work because he's fighting against a Tier 3 champion. And that is not going to be very easy indeed, as Tom97 makes the move into the hairpin against Lewis Jones. So does Lucas Beisner, but Lucas is not gotten fully past yet. Now he has up back into the top 10 with that time penalty, not really helping him out whatsoever. But Tom97, yeah, he's really doing a great job there. P9 is for now the best he can get. The next car ahead is 5.5 seconds up the road. That's Damien Carril along with Daniel and Gabor for P6. So for now, several groups fighting it out for several points. But of course, the big battle is coming up very soon. At the laps slip away from us. We're now lap 24. Exavox is still harassing Thomas Laminen big time through the corners. He's absolutely doing everything to make sure the champion there is going to make a mistake. But it's not going to be easy for the man in the Alpine, as Thomas Laminen is a very steady driver, very strong indeed. And he's going to try and do everything to keep not only him behind, but Lewis Walker potentially as well.
I just want to say, Leroy Brown has just brought down the gap to below 2 seconds.
Yeah.
For a slight moment. He's caught up by a second in the last 4 laps, by the way. So he is gaining about 1/4 second a lap. That's very impressive, especially with these guys having DRS and him being kind of left on his own. Oh, we got a big, almost 3-way.
Oh!
Lighty. Whoa! Whoa! Still side by side. Who's going to take the lead? Is it Lighty? Is it Laminen? Who's going to go? They're going side by side into the final corner. Lighty is fighting this. And ultimately, it will be Lighty who stays out in front. Did Lighty get DRS? No, he didn't. But I think, whoa!
What on earth
That is
happening?
a massive move from Lewis Walker, trying to get past his teammate. Whoa! Right outside. Tuomas Lamminen, he's trying to make the move. It's 3 wide almost.
Oh, man.
Through turn 1. This is going mental all of a sudden with a couple of laps in hand. Still Lighty, still sitting there right next to Tuomas Lamminen. He's just dropped back now. Is he going to send it down the inside? He has to. He does. Down into the next corner. He kind of gets pushed out. He has to jump over the curb. Does he hold on to P2? Look at that. Exafox is still there around the outside. Lighty is trying to make a move. So is Exafox. Now Exafox has the outside. And that's Exafox almost past. And now he is fully passed.
And look who's joined them. It's Leroy Brown. The fights have been so hard that within the matter of just a few corners, our championship leader is back. There, more Lewis Walker action right there, but he sticks behind for the time being. He knows he can't make the move just yet. But now comes then another opportunity to make the fight go even crazier. We go from 4-way battle to a 5-way battle for the win. And Leroy Brown can't believe his eyes. He was 3 seconds behind 3 laps ago. And now he finds himself right in the heat of it. And look at that, Tuomas Lamminen knows Exafox wants this win. He wants it really badly, but Tuomas Lamminen wants to show them why he was the champion a few seasons ago. He is now leading the race, and with a couple of laps remaining, every driver in this top 5 is having a big reason to win it. Tuomas Lamminen as an ex-champion, Exafox to get 2nd place, Lighty to get that coveted win from pole, Lewis Walker from last, and Leroy Brown as the championship leader. 5 very big reasons to come home in 1st.
And remember, Leroy Brown won't have the tyre wear from fighting others. He's been almost completely on his own in this stint, so it means he might have extra tyres to use in these final 3 laps.
I wonder, yeah, if you can do that. There comes Lewis Walker, very close indeed to Lighty, who finds himself in 3rd place at the moment. As I said, they've all got an extremely good reason to win the race, and I hope they can keep each other alive in the chase to do so. Lewis Walker is showing Lighty that his tyres are, by this point, better, as he nearly got alongside him into turn 7, which is quite extraordinary on its own already. But for now, he stays behind. All of them are charging the battery and now opening it a little bit again, back onto medium deployment. The top 5 then ever close. Even Gabor is gaining a little bit. He was about 6 seconds behind Leroy. It's now down to 5 seconds. Will not be enough, I'm afraid, unless they go absolutely mental here at the front of the field. Once again on the back straight with a little over 2 laps remaining. All 5 of them have got a lot to lose from getting involved into an incident thanks to this battle right there. Now they are not making moves just yet. I think the chaos will come down later. Lighty though had a little bit of a look on Exafox, but not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. We'll have to wait maybe another lap or 2. But Leroy Brown might stir things up quite a bit because we know he is probably the strongest driver for racecraft in, on this grid. And so, along with Lewis Walker, this might all change.
I have to say though, out of these 5, Leroy Brown's got the most to lose if he crashes out and retires from this race. So I think he's going to be the most careful out of these 5. The other 5, well, Exafox has got the 2nd most things to lose for the championship too. But the other 3, they probably don't really care what happens either way. They really want that win. Maybe it's an all or nothing approach. Maybe it isn't. 1.5 lap remains. All of them sliding through the corners pretty much, searching for a grip everywhere they can. Those mediums are well past their primes and they are now into ancient territory. Those hard tires are about at the end of the lifespan as well. So not much of a difference in performance, I'm afraid to say. All 5 of them pretty much in equal ground. Gabor 4.7 now seconds behind. It's not going to be enough. So still 5 cars then chasing that coveted victory. Will it be another one for Leroy Brown or either of the other 4 make it something special?
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But we come down the back straight. I don't think we're going to see any overtakes here.
No,
they're going to wait to try and get him next lap. Or maybe not, we'll have to see. Because we know that Lighty has been very impatient, hasn't he? He's been pushing away at that Alpine for quite a while. This is the last gasp, isn't it? It's the last moment. Let's see how they do into the final corner. Tuomas Lamminen will lead through lap 27 and out onto lap 28. Who is going to try and take the lead? Here comes Xbox. Here comes Lighty down the inside into turn 1. Before even turn 1 arrives, he takes the lead of the race. Exafox has gone really well. Oh, big moment for Exafox. Is he out? Is he out of this battle? He's currently going through an Aston Martin. I have no way of saying that normally. And now Lighty heading round. He leads out of the first sector. He's not gotten a gap though. He's still following behind. Look at Leroy Brown. He's trying to make a move on Lewis Walker around the outside. He's trying to make that move. It's going to become the inside. And that's now up to P4. Almost. Is it P4 yet? Yes, it is. It's P4 for the Mercedes man. And that is P4 for the current championship leader. But Lighty now leads into the final sector as they come round to finish off the middle sector. Look at him weaving, trying to stop them from getting any sort of slipstream. He's got to use everything he has. It is now very much a four-way battle for the win. Possibly even a two-way battle with the gap that he's grown. Almost 0.6 of a second. They come down the back straight. Look at this 0.6 weaving all the way down this straight. DRS is now open, so the super amount of speed you get is now applied. Here comes Tuomas Lamminen. He moves to the inside. Has he got a Lighty? No, he hasn't. Lighty breaks incredibly late. Still makes the corner. Whoa! A big moment there for Lighty. But coming round, the final corner, he's ghosted. Who's going to win?
I don't know.
Who's going to win? It is Tuomas Lamminen. He gets a 20-second time penalty.
No, he shouldn't have done that. He gained the positions from going off the track, and that's cost him massively. Off goes the champion. I wonder if that penalty can be appealed. It seems really harsh to me. But he came across the line first. Yes, he did, but 20 seconds to his name. Nathan Rich is saying, thought he was clever. Well, he avoided the incidents, that's for sure. Maybe that is a reason to appeal. But then again, he overtook off the track. And I'm not sure if the FIA stewards are going to have any leniency on that. So for now, we can say Exafox has done what he should do to claim second in the standings. He's winning the race. Lighty, well, he'll be absolutely distraught right there because he comes home in second place. Still a brilliant result, but from pole position he probably would have liked the biggest result of them all, and that would have been a win. He's saying in the chat, you guys are so interesting. So there's definitely going to be quite a few inquiries. So for now, at least, the results are as follows. Exafox wins it for the Alpine team. Lighty comes home in second place. Lewis Walker, sorry about that, from last all the way up to third place. Leroy Brown finishes in P4 from 7th. Damien Carril finishes in P5 from 12th. Then Daniel Gottschalk, a brilliant race from him too, in P6 from 16th. Then Gaborg Santos, despite the wing damage, gaining a position from the start in P7. Then Tom 97 from 13th to P8. Another brilliant result for Mercedes right there. They will be moving up to constructors even further ahead of the rest. Lewis Jones finished where he started in P9. Then Matex, also a brilliant race for the other Williams driver, in P10 from 19th. Then Tim Tronimo just missing out. They were closely fighting there as well. P11 from 18th, still brilliant though. Lucas Beisner in P12. Then comes Tuomas Lamminen with that 20-second time penalty. He's already discussing with the others about the things that have happened. I'm certain he's going to try and appeal, and the others are going to try and defend it. Whatever happened right there, we'll see in a few days' time if the results are going to change or not. But for now, Tuomas Lamminen P13. Divan Santamaria with the fastest lap of the race, only P14. Started in 6th, that is unfortunate. No Ferrari points again. Boba then P15, Bogdan Moldovan in P16, Taisto in P17, Maximilian, of course, not just an AI driver right there. In P18, Mark Schluter retired. We still do not know yet why. And Thomas Lang, of course, due to his force feedback and clutch issues, not finishing the race as well. Oof.
What a race it was, though.
Yes.
Exafox, did he just listen to us?
I think he secretly did. We just telepathically communicated to him that he should win the race to get this second place, and he did, at least for now.
Yeah, very much, at least for now. But I will say this. I do think it will still be a penalty to him. I still don't think Tuomas Lamminen
I hope you can hear me now. I accidentally pressed the wrong button right there. Interviews post-race. Lewis, welcome to the lobby. That was some race, wasn't it?
Yeah, perfect race for me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I had zero. I haven't touched the game in like 2 months, and I just got back today. So, I didn't want to do quali because I didn't. If I'd have done quali, I would have probably come about P17 anyway. So I thought I might as well just try and pull it off with the race pace. And luckily, the alternative strategy like worked. I don't know what happened, but when I came out, there was only like 2 cars near me, so I was laughing.
Yeah, of course, Maximilian was thrown out of contention due to disconnects. You had an alternate strategy from mediums to hard. You also had an alternate qualifying strategy during driving around on the mediums.
Yeah, I was practicing for the race. Don't worry.
Yeah, we thought as much. We were thinking you were just going to try and have some from last place, and I think
Hey, it paid off. It paid off.
I was about to say I think you had a lot of fun tonight, right?
Yeah, yeah, man. Throughout the whole battling, I was just sat there watching, laughing because they were all being stupid. But yeah, it was funny.
Which moment for you was the biggest moment where you thought I could actually win this race?
Well, when Lighty came out of the pits, I thought, right, so I mean, I thought I would have had a bigger gap, but I mean, it is what it is. But then when I found out that there was only like 2 of them near me, I thought I have a chance at like at least getting on the podium. I thought I could have maybe got the win, but like there was just too many. We were battling too hard and losing too much time to the people behind, so they were just gaining too much time every lap. But I mean, yeah, I'm happy with P3 after what just happened.
Epic, any questions from you?
How does it feel after the sort of longest season it's been to get a podium, to get especially a podium in such a close race like it was today?
Oh yeah, I mean it feels good. Yeah, I mean I didn't expect it, to be honest. I was just going into this expecting to just have some fun, but then I tweaked the setup last minute and it actually worked really well, so I'm happy. It felt like I had grip axe at the start of the race, I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, there you are, third place from us. I mean, incredible job for all of the chaos, and you stayed out of most of the trouble. So well done to you. Enjoy your third place, and hopefully we'll see you next week as well.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
Cheers. Looks like no Exafox, no Lighty for the interviews tonight, unfortunately. So that really rounds off the interviews already. That's a big shame. I would have really liked to hear from Lighty or Exafox about this race. We are hearing or seeing a lot of things in the Discord, aren't we, Epic? There are lots of discussions going on about this race. So, yeah, you said we will probably not see any change to Laminen's result, but maybe something else?
Yeah, maybe. What will be interesting is if we see a different winner next week as well. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we've got 4 different winners so far. This makes the 5th with Exafox.
Get a 6th in Canada.
Not bad.
Let's hope.
Yeah, Canada.
Season, did we have, 10 winners?
We had 10 out of 11.
Yeah.
Or 10 out of 10. We had every single race, we had a different winner. That was absolutely brilliant. But we're going to have to look forward to the last remaining races of the season. It's Canada, Austria, and of course, Brazil remaining on the season 19's calendar. Which track, Epic, do you look forward to most?
I'm gonna have to say Austria, to be honest.
I think
we
I
know
agree.
It's chaos.
Yes,
it's chaos, but I've got to give a big shout though to Brazil. I've got to say that track is also very fun.
And I think Canada can be brilliant as well. It really depends on how the race goes and what the weather is going to do, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. I think it's also going to be very dependent how good the race is based off of how much the drivers are pushing. Because we know Leroy Brown will be looking to just get his championship finished. You know, extend the gap to 53 points at least. For him to be able to then say, I won the championship. He only has to score 3 more points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only has to score 3 more points than Conrad Bohm to win the championship next race.
Exactly. I think he's going to try and take it easy. Although tonight in China, I have to say, by the end of the race, he really was having a proper go for the win, wasn't he? Trying to go around the outside of Lewis Walker, making it actually work. But I thought I would have been a bit more careful in his approach. But it worked out for him anyway. Finished 4th, gained a lot more points on the Conrad Bohm. But now Exafox is the man in 2nd place, and he actually did gain points on the Leroy Brown. Albeit only, 13 points. His gap now to Leroy Brown, 48 points, which is actually a little less than Conrad Bohm has. So now Exafox is the closest contender, isn't he?
Yeah, very much. I'm going to be honest. I will be honest here, and I do think we're going to see. I think Leroy Brown has probably wrapped up the championship.
Yeah, most likely.
But I do think we're going to see a great battle between Exafox, Louis Welch, and Conrad Bohm in these last 3 races for who claims 2nd and 3rd. Also, don't count out Lighty, who took on 25 points at the moment tonight, which accelerates him to 58 points and to 3rd, by the way.
He took 18 points, actually.
Or 4th. Oh, yeah, 18. Although he says he wants to win. Although he says that because Exafox was ghosting, he's going to report that. So,
okay. Well, that's what I was talking about. The results might shift around completely then. So we'll see in a few days' time, and we'll definitely update you next week when we go live for Canada about how the results have turned out for this race, because from what we can see, it's definitely not final results just yet. Whatever happens, we'll let you know ASAP. For now, though, make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Like the stream and all the other streams happening tonight, and all the future streams, of course, as well. Make sure to stay up to date with whatever's happening in WOR. For now, though, thank you so much for watching once again. In the new year, 2025 has started properly for this series as well. It's good to be back. We'll see you next week for Canada. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Until next week, same place, same time. Goodbye.